गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत नः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं शर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि चक्षुषा ततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Can everybody repeat Hare Ram Krishna 3 times? Om Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. So where are we?
We are on lesson 119.
That is very helpful. Okay, so any charts you guys want to see?
If they don't have anything, I have some.
Okay. So actually, based on your suggestion last week, what we will do is we will go back to BPHS. We will spend half the class on BPHS and half the class on some charts. So if you guys can bring me a copy of BPHS from next week, we will restart. Or we are chapter 6th house or 7th house? We were about to start the 7th house, right?
7th is done, I guess.
7th is done. So we have to start with the 8th house. Okay, so if you have it, we will start today itself. Right now, but you have to find out where we are. 7th house or 6th house?
We did on 416 5th house.
We done with the 7th house? Okay, that's good. So we'll start with the 8th house.
Seventh house happened on 7/16.
Okay.
I wanted to ask today about something else.
Okay, you can ask.
No, we can do it after this.
Okay.
Because we haven't covered in general about matchmaking.
Right.
Matching charts.
Right.
For marriages.
That is a good point. Actually, that is a good thing to know.
Because yesterday I suggested to somebody, we talked about last night, I suggested to somebody, and this morning they made me back saying, hey, we just got some boys thing here, can you help match these two and see if they work or not?
Right.
Then I quickly saw the Rashi and Navamsa, their Lagnas are not in 212 or 68 or something like that. Okay. It is there in 9-5.
Yeah.
So it is, that part is good, but the rest of them we just want to touch base.
Right. There are actually so many other aspects related to matchmaking, and also matchmaking is a slightly controversial topic. In other words, there are some standard theories that people like my father and all the world astrologers use, and there are some things like Sanjayji uses, and it is possible to mix both of them. And also there is some research from Sanjay Prabhakaran, but I honestly think that we should not really worry too much about modern research. We should just look at what comes in the tradition, both from the SJC tradition as well as outside SJC. Because people have been matching charts for a long time successfully in India, so we should take the traditional wisdom also. So we'll do that remind me in the next class. I'll refresh myself, and also I'll get some tables. Maybe I can just print them. Okay, we'll see. I can make a Java copy or something. There are some standard tables that you need to have access to based on the nakshatra padas of the bride and the bridegroom. So we'll take it up. That's actually a good thing. We covered a lot of things, like lot of ground, like mundane astrology, muhurtas, but that is actually something that we never covered. Matching two charts. Okay, we'll do that.
After that, there is another topic also we didn't touch is transits.
Transits we kind of touched. We touched in various ways, various aspects of transits we did touch.
When we do some examples.
Right. We can do a little more focus, but we did have some grounding on the transits. But this topic we had
this topic we can have it.
had no no covering at all. Okay. So we'll start with the 8th house. This is chapter 19 in PPHS, Santanam right? Santanam version. Yeah. Ayurbhava phalam chatha kathayami dvijottama ayusthanadhipah kendre dirghamayuh prayachati. Okay. Ayurbhava phalam chatha. I didn't put it. Yeah, it is on. Except that this wasn't clipped to my shirt. That is a point. So, Ayurbhava phalam chatha kathayami dvijottama. So, I am telling you the results of the 8th house. O great Brahmin. Ayusthanadhipah kendre dirghamayu playachati. If the Lord of the Ayuh means 8th house, Ayusthana means 8th house. If the Lord of the 8th house is in a Kendra, then there is long life. Then Ayusthanadhipah papai saha tatraiva samsthitah karot yalpayusham jatam lagneshopyatra samsthitah. Okay. Ayusthanadhipah means 8th Lord. Papai saha means along with malefics. Along with functional malefics. Tatraiva samsthitah. Tatraiva means there itself. That means in the 8th house itself. So if the 8th Lord, there is another way to interpret this. Because he earlier said, if he is in a quadrant, then long life. But in the same place, suppose he is with malefics, then it will actually be short life. He may be saying that also. You understand what I am saying? So it may be a modification of the previous verse. So tatraiva could also mean in a kendra. So in a kendra is good, but in a kendra with malefics is bad. That is also a tenable interpretation. That is also a plausible interpretation. Eighth Lord in the 8th itself, tatraiva, ayusthanadhipa papayasaha tatraiva samsthita means he is actually strong in his own house. So then we are saying karot alpayusham, the longevity is small. So the thing is, compared to that, being in a quadrant is a logical interpretation.
What do you think being in a quadrant, because he didn't explicitly say that, right?
In the previous verse he said.
He said the 8th Lord in the
8th Lord in a quadrant gives a long life.
Correct.
And then next verse he is saying, if the 8th Lord is there itself with malefics, now he is giving a modification.
Is it functional malefic or just any malefic?
He used the word papai, that means functional malefic in my view.
Okay.
He used the word Soumya and Krura for natural benefic and natural malefic, and he used the word Suha and Papa for functional benefic and functional malefic. So I interpret this Papai Saha as functional malefic, not natural.
But then if he is in 8th with that means if he is also elsewhere with malefics, it's short life. That's what you are.
Wait, I am not saying anything yet. So what Parasa is saying literally is, if the 8th Lord is in a quadrant, it is good for life. He will have a long life. Now, if the 8th Lord is there itself, along with functional malefic, then he gives short life. That is basically what he is saying. Now, he can be interpreted in two ways. There itself can be interpreted as in the 8th itself, as Santanam did here. He said be in the 8th itself. That is one interpretation. The other is, because he talked about quadrants earlier, he is still talking about quadrants, but he is giving a modification now. He is in a quadrant, but he is with malefics. Then it is not long life anymore. Then he can actually give a short life. So that is one interpretation. I am not 100% sure which is the correct interpretation. Let me just give you what I can see. Then, but the thing is, there is a next clause. Maybe next clause can give us clue. So he is saying, karot jalpayusham jatam lagneshop yatra samsthitah. So the next line is, if the Lagna Lord is also there. So he is saying 8th Lord is there itself along with functional malefic, and Lagna Lord is also joining him. Then probably he is not talking about quadrants, he is talking about the 8th house. So if the 8th Lord is in the 8th house, normally it should be good because he is in one house. But Lagna Lord is also there. So Lagna Lord is being afflicted by the 8th Lord, and as well as not enough, he is being afflicted by other functional male fix. So then I will go with Santanam's interpretation.
So in other words, you have to have 3 planets.
You have to have 3 planets there. Lagna Lord, 8th Lord and some male fix, some functional male fix.
Then it's a short life.
Then it's a short life. एवं हि शरिणाचिन्ता कार्या तर्कैर्विचक्षणैः एवं हि शरिणाचिन्ता कार्या तर्कैर्विचक्षणैः कर्माधिपेन च तथा चिन्तनं कार्यमायुषः. Okay, let's see how he interpreted. So this is the same way with Saturn. So he interpreted as similarly consider Saturn 10th Lord in the matter of longevity. Okay. So just like 8th Lord and Lagna Lord, he is taking Saturn and 8th Lord. So will I agree with it? Evam hi sarina chinta. You look at it the same way from Saturn also. Karya tarkair vichakshanaihi. Logical and discriminate people, they should basically look at Saturn also in the same way. Karmadhipayana cha tatha chintanam karyam ayusha. Karmadhipayana cha tatha. Okay, and with the 8th Lord, with the 10th Lord. So replace the Lagna Lord with the 10th Lord and replace the 8th Lord with Saturn. So if Saturn is with the 10th Lord, where it is not clear, probably in the 8th house, because we were talking about the 8th house earlier. So if Saturn is in the 8th house, see normally just like 8th Lord in the 8th gives a long life, Saturn in the 8th also gives a long life. But if he is afflicting the 10th Lord there, 10th is all the activities that you do. So if he is afflicting it, it is bad for the 10th house. And if there are other malefics also, it basically confirms short life. So the two combinations for short life given so far are Lagna Lord and 8th Lord with a malefic in the 8th house, or 10th Lord and Saturn with a malefic in the 8th house. The next verse. Shasthe vyayepi Shasthe vyayepi shasthesho vyayadhisho ripau vyaye lagnestame sthito vapi dirghamayuh prayachati. Okay. Shasthe vyayepi shasthesho. If the 6th Lord is in the 6th house or the 12th house, vyayadhisho ripau vyaye, or the 12th Lord is in 6th house or 12th house. So 6th or 12th Lord is in 6th or 12th. That is basically what it means. Lagne ashtame sthito vapi. Lagne ashtame sthito vapi. Or in the Lagna or in the 8th house. So we are talking about 6th Lord and 12th Lord. They are placed either in the Lagna or in the 6th house or in the 8th house. Then dirghamayuh prayachati. The person will have a long life. So these are practically, except the Lagna which is also included here. If you just take the 6, 8 and 12, the 6th Lord or the 12th Lord being in 6, 8 or 12 basically is Viparita Rajoga. So we are talking about Viparita Rajoga. And if there is a Viparita Rajoga in Rashi chart, it can give a long life. There may be suffering for the person, it may not be a smooth life, but there will be a long life. Similarly, if the 6th Lord or 12th Lord is in Lagna also, he is saying there is a long life. Lagna is the overall essence of the person. And if the 6th and 12th, they show all the struggle of the person. If those lords are in Lagna, the person basically lives for a long time, but has a life full of struggle. The person struggles a lot. In order to actually have an opportunity to struggle a lot, you should at least live for a long time. So 6th Lord or 12th Lord being in Lagna, you should not look at it as a positive combination. It will come up in other places as a negative combination also, because it gives a lot of struggle. But at the same time, it gives a long life. Just like Saturn in the 8th house, that gives struggle, but at the same time, a long life. Swasthane swamchake vapi mitre se mitra mandire virghayusham karotyeva lagne shostamapah punah. Swasthane swamchake vapi. Swasthane means in the own house, or swamchake means in the own amsha, which can be taken as navamsha. So in own sign or own navamsha. Who? We are coming to that. Vapi, va means or, mitrese, mitra mandire means in a friendly sign. Mitrese, swasthane, sanskrit vapi, mitrese, mitra mandire,
Dirghayasham karotyeva lagnesha punah. Okay. Mitreshe Mitramandira. The word Mitreshe doesn't fit there. It actually is a total misfit there. We will ignore that word. So the rest is in own house or own Navamsa, or Mitramandira means in a house owned by a friend. Who Lagnesha or Ashtamapah Punah means Lagna Lord or the 8th Lord. They will do Dirghayasham Karoti means he will give a long life. So Lagna Lord or 8th Lord are capable of conferring a long life on the native, provided they are in own house or own Navamsa or in a friendly sign. Own house in Rasi or Navamsa. Swasthane Swansake Vahu Mitreshe Mitramandira. Mitramandira makes sense. What does Mitreshe mean here? Yeah, it can be loosely interpreted, but the thing is, it doesn't fit the grammar. The grammar is totally messed up.
You said Lagna Lord or 8th Lord in own house in Rasi or Demon.
Right.
When you say or in a friendly house, does it mean friendly house in Navamsa?
Probably in Rasi only. We are looking at the longevity which is from the Rasi. If the planet is in Navamsa, strong in Navamsa, he carries some good blessings from the past life. So as a result, he can give a long life. If the Lagna Lord, whose responsibility is to ensure the basic well-being of the person, or the 8th Lord, whose responsibility it is to give a long life to the person, if they are in a good Navamsa, like own Navamsa, or otherwise strong in Navamsa, maybe exalted, this is just one guideline, maybe they are exalted or otherwise strong in the Navamsa, then they are carrying good blessings from the past life. So it is unlikely that in the area of life that they are showing in the Rasi chart, there will be a big setback. So it is likely that they will have a long life. That is basically the logic. So that is why we are looking at Navamsa. But otherwise, all this is to be seen in Rasi chart, because we are talking about the longevity of the physical body, not the dharma of the person. The person may die and his dharma may live for a long time to other people. So Navamsa is not the chart to see the longevity, technically speaking. So this is all Mitreshe, Mitramandira. You should interpret it as, see, Mitreshe means literally Isha means Lord, Mitra means friend. So it could mean friendly Lord. If friendly Lord, what does this friendly Lord mean?
Lord of a friendly house.
Right, but already we said in a friendly house. So I'm not actually clear at all what Mitreshe means. So from whatever I know, this does not fit here at all. The word is meaningful, but the word, the way it is used, the vibhakti that is on the word, doesn't fit there at all. This is total nonsense. So very likely there is some corruption here. There is one word that was changed into Mitreshe. There is some other word. The next verse is Lagnashtamapa Karmesha Mandaha Lagnashtamapa Karmesha Mandaha Kendra Trikona. Okay. Lagnashtamapa Karmesha Mandaha Kendra Trikonayoh Labheva Sansitat Tadvad Disho Yurdirghamayusham Dishe Yurdirghamayusham. Okay, good. Lagnashtamapa Karmesha Mandaha. Lagna Ashtamapa. Lagna means first house. Ashtama means 8th house. The word pa at the end means the letter pa, if it comes at the end, what it means is palayati iti paha. So Ashtamapa means the one who rules over the 8. Lagnapa means the one who rules over the Lagna. So Lagna Ashtamapa means the lords of the Lagna and 8th house. Karmesha Mandaha. Karmesha means 10th lord. Mandaha means with Saturn. Not with Saturn, unsaturn. So Lagna Lord or 8th Lord or 10th Lord and Saturn. These are the 4 planets important for longevity. Saturn is the Karaka. Lagna is the basic essence of the person. 8th house is the actual longevity of the person. And 10th house is, it is basically the karma of the person. If the person has to do big karmas, he would rather live for a long time. If somebody has a big karma to do, Suppose somebody is destined to build 100 temples. Just suppose. Somebody is born in this life to build 100 temples, 100 Hanuman temples, or like Samatha Ramadas did, established 108 Hanuman Pithas in the whole India. Suppose that kind of karma is there, 10th house, very strong. How can that person live a short life? Even if Lagna Lord and 8th Lord are weak, the 10th Lord will convince them to give a long life. So that always there are exceptions. It is not necessary to live for a long time in order to make a big karma. You can do a big karma in just 10 years. It is possible. But in general, these are all generic principles. In general, if you have a big karma sitting on your shoulders, you will live a long life, possibly. Not just Vivekananda, Shankaracharya for example, Adi Shankara. Vivekananda, what he did is very little compared to what Adi Shankara did. And he lived actually shorter than Vivekananda. So it is possible to do huge karma in a short life. So what are we saying? Lagna Astabhava Karmesha Mandha. So, and Saturn is the significator. Saturn is the significator for longevity and also struggling, doing lot of work, doing lot of hard work. And if you have to do lot of work, you have to live for a long time again. So Lagna Lord, 8th Lord, Saturn and 10th Lord. These are the key planets for the length of life of some person. And he is saying any of these Kendra Trikonayoho means actually you know what? Lagnashtamapa Karmesha Mandaha literally doesn't mean and or or. He didn't say either and or or. It can either be interpreted as this or this or in Kendra Trikonas, or you can interpret it as and. So one interpretation is all of them being in Kendra and Trikona, the other interpretation is some of them. See, if you are intelligent about it, just one of them being in a Kendra or Trikona is pretty much unsatisfactory. I mean, it's not sufficient. It is insufficient because a lot of people have it and they don't necessarily live for a long time. So, but if you require all of them to be in a Kendra or Trikona, that is again too stringent a condition. A lot of people live for a long time. So my personal interpretation is some of them. Because he did not specifically say and or, he just left it open. What I interpreted it to mean is some of them, several of them. If two or three of those 4 planets are in Kendra Trikona, then probably the result applies. Okay.
But the first sloka itself says 8th Lord is in Kendra, this is one life.
Right.
So it's only one condition of this particular sloka.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So
the thing is, if 8th Lord alone he is in a Kendra, there is an indication of long life, but you should take it with a pinch of salt. It's basically not a 100% kind of thing. It's probably a 40% kind of indication. You understand what I'm saying? Because Saturn and 10th Lord are very weak, but Lagna Lord is very badly affected. Maybe the person really won't have a long life. So nothing is really written in stone. Things have a probability associated with them. Certain combinations, by the nature of their definition, they are very loose. They are very. They don't have a high probability. Then you can't be certain about them. So suppose now, after starting from that very loose indication, he is coming up with something more specific. So he is giving all the other planets which are relevant. So suppose 3 of these 4 planets are in Kendras and Capricorn. Then you can be even more confident. It's not a 40% anymore. There is a 90% chance that the person will have a long life. So one parameter he defined at the beginning. Now he is actually refining and giving more parameters, which can give you more confidence. So astrology is about looking at many parameters and being more confident. You can either look at one parameter and give a reading, but you can't be very confident about it. Of course, you can say confidently, but you can't be. Or you can look at more parameters and you can be more confident about it. You can just look at Vinshwati Dasha and say you will get married in 93 February, but you can't be very confident. Or you can look at the chances, you can look at February, you can look at other things and be more confident. You can say very likely you will be married this time. So it's all about looking at more parameters and being more confident. So he is refining, as we saw in the previous houses also. He gives something very generic and then slowly he refines and he gives further with qualifications. And sometimes he gives exceptions also. So going back to the verse, लग्नाष्टमप कर्मेश मंदाः केंद्र त्रिकोणयोः लाभे वा संस्थिता तद्वत्. Okay. Or he is saying kendras are trikonas, and he is also saying or labheva means or in the 11th house. So being in kendra or trikona or even 11th house is good for this purpose. 11th house of gains, even though it's a malefic house, it is good for, if a planet is placed there, there are gains related to that area. So you should look for Lagna Lord, 8th Lord, 10th Lord and Saturn being in these houses, quadrants, trines and 11. Then also there is a long life. एवं बहुविधात् एवं बहुविधा विद्वन्नायुर्योगाः प्रकीर्तिताः येषु यो बलवांस्तस्यानुसारादायुरादिशेत्. Okay. येषु यो बलवांस्तस्यानुसारात् तस्य अनुसारात् आयुः आदिशेत्. So this way evam, like this, बहुविधा, there are several kinds of Vidvan means you should know Ayur Yoga Prakirtita. Combinations of longevity Prakirtita are well known. There are so many well known combinations of longevity, long life. And among these, whichever is strong, he will indicate the Ayur. In other words, so this is actually a loaded statement. So he gave these 4 planets, but earlier he said, suppose 8th Lord is with Lagna Lord in the 8th house with male face, all those things. So similarly, suppose 8th Lord is debilitated and afflicted by functional male face, but he is actually indicating a short life. On the other hand, let's say 10th Lord is strong in the 9th house with benefits, he is indicating a long life. So you should look at all these planets, all these indicators of longevity, and judge the strength of them. And based on the strength, the one who can, you should decide who should dominate. And then Ayuh Adhyat. Then judge the longevity of the person. So even though earlier he said 8th Lord in a Kendra gives a long life, now he is saying that he is only one of the many. Of course he is the most important because he rules over the house of longevity directly. So of course he is important. No question. But there are other significators, other indicators, and he, after identifying all of them, he said look at the relative strength and then decide. Okay? And when you look at the strength, there is no thumb rule. There is no real thumb rule to see how to look at the strength. You basically have to see which one dominates. You have to look at the interplay between those planets also, because it's not like each planet is walking a separate path. The path of giving a particular longevity to the person is one path. If a planet wants to curtail the life or give a long life, he has to traverse that path. So when different people are traveling together on a path, the dynamics between them, the relations between them come into play. So suppose in a particular chart, let's say 8th Lord is in one house, 8th Lord is in 8th house. Let's say he is basically strong. And let's say the Lagna Lord is also in the 8th house, but without any male fate. Or let's say Lagna Lord is in the other house owned by the 8th Lord. So 8th Lord basically becomes a dispositor of the planet. And let's say Saturn is in the Navamsha owned by the 8th Lord. So like that, suppose the 8th Lord, he gets control over other planets, because he is with them or he is their dispositor or so on. Or maybe he has a relation with Saturn, he is a friend of Saturn in that particular chart, because Saturn is the Karaka. So suppose he is friends with some people and has some control with other people, and suppose he is very strong, he is in one house or he is in a trine or something, then he will call the shots. So it's a matter of looking at these 4 planets and see that interplay between them, and see who calls the shots among those planets. And then you basically draw the conclusion. You understand what I am saying? See, what I think is, I think this deserves an example. Do you guys have an example of somebody who lived a long life? Either. First let us take long life. Do you know anybody who is known to have lived a long life? Actually, do you have? Yeah.
I mean, long life is what it can.
Well, something more than 72 is long life.
That's the agenda of life.
Okay. You have his chart. Aravindo, Chandrasekhar Saraswati. You have any of those charts? See.
They are wearing
Actually, here Swami Chandrasekhar Saraswati will be there.
the
Yeah, he lived 90 something. Vivekananda is a short life. We'll see that also. Short meaning he is middle life, technically, but it's not long life, definitely. Sai Baba is also long life. How old is he?
79.
Yeah, that's a long life. And the day he gave for his passing away is, I think, 90 plus age. Okay, Sai Baba, Puttaparthi Sai Baba. He predicted the day on which he will leave this body. And the day is at that time, I forgot the exact age, but he will be 90 plus at that time. And he made this prediction when he was 20, that he will pass away on so day.
It is public, or?
Oh yeah, it's public knowledge. Actually, if it happens on that particular exact day, that will be a very interesting thing, because it is actually possible for a reasonably advanced yogi that it is actually possible to control your death, to die at the exact time you want to die. Okay. Coming? Yeah.
Like this one.
Like this one. Okay. So let's take Swami Chandrasekhar Saraswati. How is the Lagna Lord? Just using the thumb rules. How is Lagna Lord? I want your participation. He is in a quadrant, but is he afflicted by functional malefic? He is afflicted by 8th Lord, but 8th Lord is also the 5th Lord. Is he a benefic or malefic? Tell me. 8 is neutral, 5th is benefic. So overall, Jupiter is a functionally benefic planet. What about Mercury? He is a malefic, 2nd and 11th Lord. So Mercury is a functional malefic, right? So Sun is afflicted by one functional malefic, but he is with one functional benefic. So he is not. You won't really consider him to be afflicted and weak. He is fine. So Lagna Lord is fine, and he is in a quadrant. Of course, he is in an inimical sign, so he is not super strong. But being in a quadrant, he is strong. Being in a quadrant with two friends, both of them are his friends. I mean, Naisargika Mitra. They are his friends, and also maleficence is balanced. And if you look at the natural, inherent nature, not the functional nature, both of them are benefic. So he didn't specify, but I am saying you can look at that also, even though he didn't specify. So overall, Sun seems to be fine. He is strong, but not super strong. He is maybe 65% strong or something like that.
You said it happens to be in 11th house also.
Yeah.
So now if it is instead of being in 11th house, it is with 11th Lord.
But that is not how you see. If a planet is in the 11th house, he gives gains related to his agenda. That is the idea. But 11th Lord, his agenda is to give gains. But at the same time, he just talked about functional benefic or malefic. So strictly speaking, you should consider him as a malefic. But I see your point. I see your point. But 11th house, apart from 11th house, he is the owner of the 2nd house also. That is the house of death. So let's not give an exception to Mercury, but you are thinking correctly. The thing is, you should think logically, not just look at the thumb rules. That you are thinking logically. But in this case, Mercury happens to be 2nd Lord also. So Sun, we are fine. Now look at the 8th Lord. How is 8th Lord placed? Sorry? 8th Lord. He is same. He is in the same house. He is in a quadrant. He is with Sun, the Lagna Lord, who is a benefic. So he is fine. And Mercury, even though he is a malefic, there is a benefic there, Sun. He is in Managarka Sthana from one house. But then we are doing advanced stuff. If you just do the dumb stuff that we have learned, if you want to do really advanced stuff, then look at Mercury, Jupiter and Venus Parivartana. So Jupiter acts as though he is in own house. So he is not really in Managarka Sthana. You see what I am saying? So let's leave the advanced stuff later. Even if you look at the advanced stuff, then Jupiter is not really weak. He is in one house. He is with Rahu, and he is not really a malefic here. So he is fine. So Jupiter is actually even stronger that way, if you do advanced stuff. But looking at the thumb rules, Jupiter is in a quadrant. He is not really afflicted. So both of them are strong. Jupiter and Sun, 8th Lord and Lagna Lord. 10th lord, pardon me?
There are two conditions.
Right. Now 2 out of 4. Now how is Venus, the 10th lord? He is exalted. He is in 8th house. 8th house is not particularly mentioned as a good house here. So he is weak, but he is not afflicted. So he is neutral, or maybe a little less than neutral. He is not, but he is not badly afflicted or something. Or if you take, oh sorry, Swami Sanjay Saraswati, the data is May 20, 1894, 1:22 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT. The place is 79 degrees 32 minutes east, 11 degrees 57 minutes north. Okay. So, as a matter of fact, if you take the advanced stuff that we did earlier, Venus will act as though he is in own sign, 10th house, and Jupiter will act as though he is in own sign, 8th house. Actually, both end up being strong. But using the thumb rules, Venus is either neutral or slightly weak, but not badly affected. Whereas Sun and Jupiter are strong. Now Saturn, how is he? He is in 2nd house, so he is not really, and he is with Ketu, who is a neutral planet. He is with a neutral planet, he is not afflicted, and he is in a friendly sign. See, we talked about Mitresha, Mitrasthana also, Mitramandira also, right? For Venus that didn't apply because he is not in Mitramandira. And he talked about only one house, one Navamsa. He didn't talk about exaltation. But if you take exaltation, Venus is also strong. But for Saturn specifically, he mentioned Mitramandira. And here, Saturn is in a Mitramandira. He is in a friendly sign, a sign owned by Mercury. So even though he is not in a quadrant or trine, he is in a Mitramandira. So Saturn is also reasonably strong. So all the planets are reasonably strong. So the overall result is the person is conferred with a long life. Navamsa you want to see, interesting, yeah. Saturn is not in one Navamsa, Sun is not in one Navamsa, Jupiter is not in one Navamsa, Venus is not in one Navamsa. So none of it applies. But irrespective of it, all the 4 planets are basically strong. At least 3 planets are strong, 1 planet is neutral, but using some arm twisting or some advanced stuff, he is also strong. So he is guaranteed a long life. And he lived around 100 years. I believe he lived more than 100 years actually. He passed away in 94 or 95. So around 100 years he lived. Very long life. Now shall we see, do you know anybody apart from Vivekananda?
One part in my good family.
Yeah.
My family.
Yeah.
Hanuman.
Hanuman? Yeah.
He was a very short life.
How short? 20 years? Okay, that's short. Less than 36. That's what I'm thinking. Vivekananda technically falls in middle life. Okay, that's fine. It's less than 36, right? So he's an alpha-ish person. So let us see. Let us apply the traditional rules and see what we find. First, Lagna Lord, is he strong or weak? Data. 1976, November 25, 9:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time, 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT. The place is Secunderabad, just like all of places examples. Secunderabad, India. 78 degrees 30 minutes east, 17 degrees 27 minutes north. He doesn't even get from Hyderabad, which are basically like twin cities, which is 1 mile away. He gets only from Secunderabad all the time. So he has his whole family and friends are there. Yeah. All the neighbors in Secunderabad. Okay. So this gentleman, this is a man. Hanuman means man probably. This man lived around 20 years. We don't know the exact age, but exact longevity, but around 20 years, 18, 19, 20, like that he passed away. So, are there any indications based on what Parashara taught? The Lagna is Sagittarius, Lagna Lord is Jupiter, he is in 6th house, he is in an inimical house. So, is he strong or weak? He didn't mention, so we will ignore. And based on what we know, he has a certain strong desire, but it doesn't really mean he will give a long life or short life. So let us ignore that. But Jupiter is in a Dusthana. He is not in a quadrant or trine or 11. So he is weak and he is in an inimical sign. So being in a Dusthana as well as being in an inimical sign, he is weak. Of course there is a Parivartana, but let's ignore it. Let's just use the thumb rule. So Jupiter is weak. Venus
But
How
if
is
you take the Parivartana, it becomes extremely strong.
right? If the Parivartana can be triggered. Because this Parivartana is not really a Rajoga. This is actually known as a Duryoga. The Parivartana between Lagna Lord and 8th Lord. Lagna Lord and 6th Lord. Now, how about the 8th Lord, Moon? 8th Lord, Moon. He is in a friendly sign, right? 8th Lord, Moon is in a friendly sign. He is affected by, and he is in a friendly sign and in Lagna, which is a quadrant as well as sign. That is good. But he is affected by 6th Lord, a male 6. Yeah, Venus. He is affected, actually Gurika Mandi are also there, but ignore them. Venus is 6th and 11th Lord, he is a clear male 6. So male 6 is with the 8th Lord is with male 6. So 8th Lord is weak, not very weak. He has some strength, but he is at 6 side. So he is maybe neutral or little less than neutral. He is basically weak. Jupiter is very weak. Right? What about Saturn? Right. Right. Let's come to Saturn. Right. Let's come to Saturn. How is Saturn doing? How is Saturn doing? Yeah, we may have discussed, but not from this angle. How is Saturn? Saturn is in 8th house. Right. Right. So Saturn can give long life. Saturn is capable of giving long life, and Moon is incapable of giving long life. Jupiter is totally incapable of giving long life. That is the conclusion so far. How about 10th Lord? Is he well placed or badly placed? He is in 12th house. He is in good placement or bad? He is in a Dusthana. So he is not promising any good results. But he is not afflicted. He is with Sun and Mars who are benefits. So he is not afflicted, but he is weak. He is in a bad house. So, but he is not in one of the houses Parasara mentioned. So, Mercury, Jupiter and Moon, they are showing weak results. Whereas Saturn alone is showing a strong life, a strong longevity. Who will dominate? It's tough to say, but the thing is, Moon is in Lagna with Venus. And Venus is the dispositor of Lagna Lord. Venus is actually quite a strong planet here. He is in Lagna, he is the dispositor of Lagna Lord. He has a strong association with Lagna, an undesirable association. So, that Moon-Venus combination is likely to dominate. Or you could even say, Mercury, who is in the 12th house, he is with more planets, so he could be strong. But the bottom line is, Saturn is not particularly in a friendly house. He is in an inimical house, a lunar house, Cancer, and he is alone. He is not with anybody else. So he basically becomes quite weak. So if you want to make this person live a long life, pardon me?
Saturn.
Yeah. From the point of view of comparison of strength of these 4 planets, 3 planets are showing a bad result. Saturn alone is showing good result. So based on the thumb rules, short life. But if you have to pull this person into middle life or long life category, just based on these thumb rules, who is the one you should propitiate? Saturn. Of course, it may give a troublesome life, it may give troubles, but at the same time, it may safeguard the longevity of the person. So if this person, if he came to you early in life, you could have recommended some prayer to Saturn to give a long life to this person, or middle life. I mean, if somebody's heart is showing short life, you can't pull it to long life straight away, but maybe you can go to middle life. Okay? Navamsha, Saturn is extremely strong. He is in Swamsha. Jupiter is debilitated. Mercury is not really strong. Moon is also not that strong. So it is only Saturn. Saturn is the saving grace as far as longevity is concerned. Saturn is a saving grace. So if at all somebody, for me, at what time? You have to tell me the time. He was running Mars Dasa. He was running Mars Dasa. But for actually, if you want to look at the longevity, the best is to look at, you may want to look at Kshema Vimshatri or anything. Let's just see which is better. Utpanna, Kshema Kshama is strong. See, so let us see the Kshama Vinshati Dasa. Okay. Especially see when you are looking at regular Vinshati Dasa for marriage, etc., children, use the regular Vinshati. But there also I told you, Utpanna may be more, Utpanna Vinshati or Lagna Vinshati may be more applicable in certain parts. But definitely when you are looking at longevity, if Kshema or Adhana is stronger, you must use that. So let us use the Kshema Vinshati Dasa. It is basically started from the 4th house from moon. So what is the Dasha he was running at that time? He was running Jupiter Dasha. The weak Lagna Lord. The Lagna Lord who on account of being weak is not really capable of giving a long life. So the thing is, if you could be made alive till 2009, it is very likely that until 2038 he would be safe. So Saturn was the planet to protect. Okay, so let us go back to the website. You can see some more examples, and you can see examples of people who lived a long life and examples of people who lived a short life, and you can try to deduce the true meanings of what Parashara taught, because we may be missing some fine details, which will be clear only when you study examples. The next verse is अष्टमाधिपतौ केन्द्रे लग्नेशे बलवर्जिते अष्टमाधिपतौ केन्द्रे लग्नेशे बलवर्जिते विंशद्वर्षाण्यसौ जीवेत् द्वात्रिंशत् परमायुषम्. Okay. अष्टमाधिपतौ केन्द्रे लग्नेशे बलवर्जिते. If the 8th lord is in a kendra, लग्नेशे बलवर्जिते, and the lagna lord is very weak. Vinsyad Varshaanyasau Jivet. He will live 20 years. Dvatrinsyat Paramaisam. Maximum 32 years. Actually, that is applicable here.
If Lagna Lord is in a Kendra.
Lagna Lord is in a Kendra. No, 8th Lord is in a Kendra. And Lagna Lord is really weak. He doesn't have any strength.
Here 8th Lord is not in a Kendra. 8th Lord no in a Kendra.
He is in a Kendra. He is in Lagna. See, the thing is, 8th Lord being a Kendra is a disease. 8th Lord being a guarantees long life. Of course, from his point of view, other planets may come and spoil it, but 8th Lord in 8 is good. But 8th Lord in Kendra is a dissolution, because if 8th Lord is in Lagna, 8th house is the house of struggle. And you are saying the one who gives struggle is in a Kendra, he is strong, so there must be struggle. But the probability is, but the also possible is, the person will just struggle to be alive and die very soon. That is also a possibility. So if the basic Lagna Lord is weak, because that is the basic essence of being, that is the basic personality. If that is weak, then the 8th Lord alone being in Kendra won't really guarantee a long life. So that is basically the real meaning of this line. And the exact years he mentioned, 20, 32, I'm not sure how he gets them. But he's saying 20 years is the longevity of that person, and maximum 32, which basically indicates that the number he is giving is to be taken with a pinch of salt. 20 is not really an absolute value. He's just giving some loose number. He will live 20 years, maybe maximum 32, not more than that. Bottom line is he will have Alpayush. And here, this person has this combination. And he actually, according to what you are saying, he lived around 20. So this actually is satisfied. Randhre sheni cha rashisthe Randhre sheni cha rashisthe Randhre papagrahair Lagne se durbale jantur alpa yurbhavati dhruvam. Randhre se nicharasiste means the 8th Lord is in debilitation sign. Randhre papagraha irjute, and the 8th house is with functional miracle. It's occupied. Randha means 8th house. So Randhre papagraha irjute means unless the 8th house is containing malefic. So 8th house has functional malefic and 8th Lord is debilitated. Lagne se durbale jant, and the Lagna Lord is also weak. Then Jantuhu means animal or person. Alpayur bhavati dhruvam. Definitely he will be a short-lived person. 8th Lord debilitated, 8th house hammered by malefic, and Lagna Lord weak. So all around we see bad only. So no wonder this is a bad combination.
And what is the combination between this animal?
No. Jantuhu alpayur bhavati dhruvam means that animal with this chart will have a short life. So it is basically applicable to animals as well as men. And also he may refer to a man as animal also, because men are animals too, or women also. Human beings are animals too. So that is, it basically means that native. Jantu there means native. Randhre se papa samjukte. This is a new one. Randhre se papa samjukte, randhre papa grahe dhyute, jaye krura graha krante, jata matram rutir bhavet. Oh my God. Okay. If the eighth lord is afflicted by male fix, as well as eighth house is with male fix. So eighth house is hammered by male fix, as well as eighth lord is hammered by male fix. Jaye krura graha krante, and Jaya has krura graha, means natural male fix in the 12th house. Jatamatram rutir bhavet means death as soon as the person is born. The person doesn't live a long life.
In 12th house is
Natural male fix.
natural nature.
The next verse is Kendra Trikonagah Papah Shubha Shasthastaka Yadi Kendra Trikonagah Papah Shubha Shasthastaka Yadi Lagne Nichastha Randhresho Jata Sadjo Mruto Bhavet. Oh gosh. Okay. If the Kendra Trikonagah Papah means natural male fix are going into, functional male phase are going into quadrants and trines. Whereas functional benefics are going into 6th and 8th house. So functional benefics in 6th and 8th house, functional male fix in quadrants and trines. Lagne Nichastha Randhresho. And the 8th lord is in Lagna in debilitation. 8th lord is in Lagna in debilitation.
Functional benefits into 6 and 8.
Functional benefits in 6th and 8th, basically bad houses. And functional male fix in quadrants and trines. Bad guys in good houses, good guys in bad houses. And the 8th lord is debilitated in Lagna. Is it actually possible? Can 8th lord be debilitated in Lagna? Can you check? For Aries, 8th lord in Lagna is not debilitated. For Taurus, 8th lord in Lagna is not debilitated. For Gemini, there is no planet debilitated. For Cancer, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. For Leo, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. For Virgo, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. For Libra, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. For Scorpio, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. For Sagittarius, 8th lord is not debilitated in Lagna. Same with Ketukam. Aquarius, no planet is debilitated. Pisces, no planet is debilitated. So, what does he mean? Lagne Nijastha Randhesha. Let's see how Sadhana translates. Male fix in angles and trines, benefics in 6th and 8th, with the ascendant has in it 8th lord in debilitation. So I will call immediate time. Of course, the result given is immediate time. That is fine. But the thing is, this can never occur. The 8th lord is never debilitated in Lagna.
Why would you even do that?
What about Rahu and Ketu? Is it possible? Rahu and Ketu. Ketu, if you take him to be debilitated in, let's say, you can debilitate it in Taurus or Gemini because there are both views. Either way, he is not the 8th lord. Rahu, again, if you take him in Vrishtika or Dhanush, he is not the 8th lord. So 8th lord can never be debilitated in Lagna, from what we know. Now, why would he given? There are two possibilities. Moon. Yes. There are two possibilities. One possibility, actually, there are several. Okay. There are two possibilities. One possibility is, this is just a fake first, added by somebody, which is a possibility. Because it's an impossible condition. 8th lord is never debilitated in Lagna. Another possibility is, whatever we've been saying about each sign being a house is not really true. Houses can be from a particular point in the zodiac to another point. So Lagna here means basically the Lagna. I mean, 8th house can be, 8th lord can be moon when Lagna is Vrishtika, suppose. The 8th house cusp may be in Vrishtika, so you may have to take.
The argument is you take 16 degrees to 15 degrees.
For me,
If you take not 0 to 30 but take 15 to 50.
Take either 15 to 15 or Krishnamuti type or any other houses or Sripati. So if you take those non-whole integer houses, then it is conceivable that 8th Lord will be in Lagna and he will be debilitated. That is, I am not advocating it. Just because of this verse, you don't prove that is true. I still hold the view that each sign is a house. But the thing is, this particular verse can be interpreted technically in those two ways. Probably it is just a corruption. There is actually another way to interpret also. There could be a typo. It may be Lagne Nijastha Randhesh, instead of Randhesho, it would be Randheshau. Just one line missing basically. Instead of double line on Stho, it's only one line, so Stho ends up becoming Stho. So if it is Lagne Nijastha Randheshau, that means some planet in debility could be anybody and 8th Lord. So 8th Lord is in Lagna along with some debilitated planet, which is corrupting his mood. Debilitated planet in Lagna is in a bad mood. So he is with 8th Lord, he is spoiling the mood of the 8th Lord in Lagna. So that is another way to interpret. I will just leave it to you. The next verse is Panchame Papa Samjukte Randhe Se Papa Samjute Randhe Papa Grahayajukte Swalpa Majuh Prajayate. Panchame Papa Samjukte. Panchama is Purapunja. So if the 5th house of Purapunja has functional malefics, then the person is robbed of the punja from the past. And Randhe Se Papa Samjukte. And the 8th Lord is also restricted by functional malefics. Randhe Papa Grahayajukte means 8th house is also with malefics. This is just like the previous verse. Almost. All these verses are talking about 8th house being with functional malefic, 8th Lord being with functional malefic, etc. Some modifiers are different. The new modifier here is 5th house having functional malefic. So this is bringing out the role of the 5th Lord, 5th house. Because 5th is the house of previous karmas, punya, purapunya. Any afflictions there can also rob the person of long life. The next verse is, so you got the literal meaning, right? If the 5th house and 8th house have functional malefic, functional, right? Yeah. 5th and 8th have functional malefic, as well as 8th Lord is afflicted by functional malefic, then there is a short life. The previous two combinations were immediate death. This is a short life, not immediate death. The next verse is Randhe.
Immediate death is infant mortality.
Yeah, infant mortality. That was the previous two verses. This verse is short life, not infant mortality. Randhe se randha rasisthe. The next verse. Randhe se randha rasisthe chandre papa samanvite shubha drishti vihine cha masante mrutir bhavet. Randhe se randha rasisthe means if the 8th Lord is in 8th house, Chandre Papa Samanvite, and moon is with functional malefic. Shubha Drushti Vihinecha, and he is not affected by any functional benefit. Masante Mrutir Bhave. Then death occurs within a month. So 8th Lord in 8th he is mentioning. He is not mentioning it as an enabler. He is mentioning it as something despite which results will occur. So even if the 8th Lord is in 8th house, if moon is very weak, he is with malefics and not affected by benefics at all, then he is giving short life. So this is a very generic combination. So you should take it with a pinch of salt. Bottom line is moon is also important. So he brought out in the previous verse, he brought out the role of 5th house. Now he is bringing out the role of moon, because moon is the karaka of sustenance of the person, the body, the manas, the mind. So if moon is really badly afflicted, it is unlikely that the person will have a long life.
It's dying 1 month from birth.
From birth, of course. Yes, from birth. The next verse is verse 14. Lagne se swotya rasisthe chandre labha samanvite randhasthanagate jive dirghamayurna samsayah. Lagne se swotya rasisthe. If the Lagna Lord is in his exaltation sign, Chandre labha samanvite means moon is in Moon is in Labha Samanvita means he is well endowed, he is nicely occupying the 11th house. So Moon in 11.
Moon 11 or Moon is 11th?
Moon in 11. Yes. Randhrasthana Gate Jive. 8th house has Jupiter. Then Dirghama Ayurna Samsaya. Definitely a long life. So Lagna Lord being an exaltation is definitely good because that is the seed of the whole chart. Moon in 11th house. What if he is not in 11th but he is in a Kendra or Trikona? Probably still as good. Right? He is specifically giving Labha here, 11th house. And Randhasthana Gate Jive. Now he is bringing Jupiter into picture. He didn't mention Jupiter earlier. He mentioned Moon and 5th house and 8th house, Lagna Lord. So Jupiter is also important. Even though he is not the Karaka for longevity, like Saturn, he is called Jiva. Jiva means life. His name is life. Is synonymous to life or life force. So his situation in Lagna or 8th house is also, or even 10th house. Lagna, 8th house and 10th house. He only mentioned 8th house here. But what I am saying is, Lagna, 8th house and 10th house all are good. Because why? Because those are all important houses for longevity, and Jupiter being there will bless them. He mentioned the 8th house here because that is the worst of them all. He mentioned even in the 8th house if Jupiter is there, he is capable of conferring long life. So in Lagna and 10th house he will definitely do that. So he just gives one example and expects you to fill in the blank. The next verse is Lagne Shoti Bali Dushtah. Sorry, not Dushtah. Lagne Shoti Bali Drushtah Kendra Samsthaihi Subhagrahehi Dhanai Sarvagunai Sardham Dirghamayuh Prayachati. Okay. Lagneshaha Adibali. Lagna Lord is extremely strong. Drushtah Kendra Samsthaihi Subhagrahehi. And is aspected by Subhagrahehi, functional benefits, who are Kendra Samsthaihi in quadrants. So if benefits are occupying quadrants, and if they are aspecting the Lagna Lord, who is extremely strong, Dhanai Sarvagunai Sardham Dirghamahi Prayachati. The person will have a long life, not just a long life. Dhanai means he will have all kinds of properties and wealth. He will be wealthy, well endowed. Sarvagunai means good quality. So he will have wealth and he will have nice character, excellent qualities, and he will have a very successful long life. So what is the inner meaning of giving this verse at the end? He is saying, hey, I told so many parameters, just forget all. If the Lagna Lord is really strong, he is capable of uplifting the chart, give a long life. Because Lagna is your qualities, your overall essence of your being. Your not only long life, but how vital your life is, how strong your life is, what is your character, how happy you are. Everything is, Lagna is a seed for everything. So if Lagna Lord is extremely strong, especially if good guys are watching over him, good guys are supporting him, because if they are aspecting him, he has their support. So if these good guys are supporting him, yeah, we can see, 1 second, we can see. So the thing is, even if there are no Shubhagrahas aspecting him from a Kendra, still, if Lagna Lord is extremely strong, I will say he will have a long life. That will basically lift the thought by itself. Now let's look at Swami Chandrasekhar Saraswati. How is Lagna Lord? Where is Lagna Lord? He is the Kendra. Is he really extremely strong? He is not really extremely strong. I wouldn't really call him extremely strong. Yeah. If Sun was in Aries, he would be extremely strong. So he is not really extremely strong. So this particular combination doesn't apply. Of course, if that combination doesn't apply, still the person can live a long life. Who is actually extremely strong here? Is there any planet that you can call as extremely strong? For me? Is there any planet that can be called as being extremely strong in this chart? You want to look at strength? Any planet that is extremely strong. Come look at Vaikeshikamsa just to complete. So Venus, Jupiter are in Uttamamsa and Saturn. These are in Uttamamsa. So Jupiter is in own or exaltation Amsa in 3 out of the 10 charts. Dasvarga. So he is in Uttamamsa. So Jupiter is strong, Venus is strong, and he is exalted in Rashi chart, and he is in a friendly Navamsa. So Venus is strong, right? But what about aspect? Is he aspected by anybody? Is he aspected by somebody in a Kendra, a benefic in a Kendra? Not really. There is only one guy who aspects Venus. Who is he? Seventh aspect, right. But I am talking about Kendra, planets in Kendra. Moon, Sun, Jupiter, and Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter are the planets in Kendra. Any of them aspecting Venus? Any of them aspecting Venus? Why are you taking so long? Yeah, nobody said nobody very clearly. Why are you taking so long? Is anybody aspecting Venus?
No.
There is one guy aspecting Venus. You got it wrong. There is one guy out of those 4 planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter, who is aspecting Venus. If I said one, obviously it must be Moon. Otherwise it will be all the others. Why is Moon aspecting Venus? Why is Moon aspecting Venus? Come on, guys. Huh? It's not 100%. I didn't say 100% aspect. Some aspect. You have 50% aspect. You guys should go back to the basics.
We never considered those.
That is why I keep reminding you guys that all these special aspects of certain planets are also there for other planets, except that they are not full. For Mars, 4th and 8th aspect is full, but other planets also have that aspect, 3/4. That is what Parasara taught. So, you should take each planet to aspect the 4th house planet. You definitely should. Okay? For me, Moon has a 50% aspect on Venus. Of course, it is not a benefit, it is just a neutral planet. So, a neutral planet from a Kendra has aspect on him, but that's it. So, this verse doesn't really apply to him. But I just wanted to see if you catch the aspect.
No, we went further ahead and do a final result.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Now what about what about Saturn actually? Is he strong and aspected by, is Saturn aspected by benefits from Kendra? Is a benefit from Kendra aspecting Saturn? Is a benefit from a quadrant aspecting Saturn? For me? Mars has 8 aspects. Is he a benefit? Of course. He is the 4th and 9th law. 4th house, because he is a natural malefic, 4th house makes him neutral, 9th house makes him benefit. So he is half neutral, half benefit. It means he is benefit. So Mars, a benefit. Sun, does he have aspect on Saturn? Yeah, he is Lagna Lord, he is a functional benefit, he is a Kendra. He has half aspect on Saturn. So Mars has full aspect, Sun has half aspect. What about Jupiter? Full aspect. Is he a benefit? Yes. So 2.5 functional benefits are aspecting Saturn. Okay. So Lagna Lord, this combination doesn't apply to Lagna Lord, but it kind of applies to Saturn, the Karaka.
So should we consider the same being on Lagna, Saturn, this
If they are particularly strong, they can lift the thought. But the thing is, I will suspect, here Saturn is he really strong? Well, he is in Vargotama, he is in a friendly, he is also in Uttamamsa, like we saw earlier. He is in Uttamamsa, right? And if you look at the Vishwapaka Bala, you see the strength. He is 73% strong. He is the strongest planet in the Dasvarga scheme. The other schemes also he is fine, but let's look at instead of Shodasha, let's look at Dasvarga. So he is quite strong in Vishwapaka Bala in the Vaisheshika. He is in Vargotama, he is in a friendly house. So you can consider Saturn to be a strong planet. He is not exalted our own house, but he is strong. Vargotama is definitely strong. So a strong planet, a strong Karaka of longevity, aspected by 2.5 functional benefits from Kendra. So this combination kind of applies. But the thing is, Lagna Lord can pull up a chart irrespective of all other drawbacks. But Saturn, he can also pull up, but his ability is limited. Lagna Lord is more important than Saturn, if you ask me. If you ask me, Lagna Lord is the most important, then Saturn, and then 8th Lord, and then 10th Lord. So, if Lagna Lord is really badly placed, showing a really short life, then Saturn will be unable to rescue. But here Saturn is capable of rescuing other weaknesses. But as we saw earlier, this is actually quite strong chart based on all the parameters. So either way, this is a really long life. Okay, that actually ends the chapter on 8th house. So in the next class, we look at Bhagya, we look at 9th house. 9th house of Guru and Fortune. So we are restart.
This is longevity. We are considering 8th house for longevity. But in most cases, in practical things, this is the least thing that we will see.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So these things and diseases, illness, and things like that may be listed as.
Right. Unfortunately, he did not say anything about illnesses, etc. from the 8th. He mentioned them in the 6th house. He did not talk about them in the 8th house. But he mentioned the 8th Lord's role in various houses. When he talked about previous houses, he said if 8th Lord is here, if so-and-so Lord is with 8th Lord, then results, so-and-so results occur. So he already covered the 8th house to a large extent, you understand? He also said if the 7th Lord is in 8th house or if the 5th Lord is in 8th house. So when he talked about various houses earlier, he talked about the Lord of that house being in 8th or the 8th Lord being in that house. So the role of 8th house with respect to other houses has been kind of mentioned earlier. But he did not specifically talk about other aspects of the 8th house like inheritance. The 8th is very strong, it can be inheritance also. So all those things he did not mention, but we have already talked about them, not in a structured way, but we have seen several examples. In general, if the 8th house is strong, the 8th Lord is, for example, he has an agenda to give a big fortune to the person. There is a link to the 9th house. It may be an inheritance or it may be a lottery. So there are positive aspects also to the 8th house. So we have to look at those also. So I will restart and then we will move on to something else. So next class we will do the 9th house. So you have any example to see in the next half hour? You said you had an example session.
I want to see the next meeting.
We'll see next week. We'll cover the ground and then see. Half hour won't be sufficient. Anything else? Any other chart that you want to see? Yeah. Cancer, Leo or Virgo? Yeah, Rahu. Earlier I mentioned that Cancer, Leo, when Lagna is Cancer, Leo or Virgo, if Rahu is there, he gives Raj Yoga. Earlier I mentioned that, so he is asking, is it only if it is Lagna or any house? Right? The thing is the lines in Rahu's 108 names, Goya, Janma Kanya, Rajidata, Janmahar Yavacha, similarly Janma Simha, Rajidata. So basically specifically talk about Lagna being there. So if Lagna is Simha or Kanya and Rahu is there, he becomes a giver of kingdom or some power. It doesn't mention any other houses. So my take is, but Cancer, some people say that Cancer is auspicious for Rahu, just like Saturn, in any house. But I am not sure if you can just take it like that. It has to be Lagna or maybe 10th house or 5th house. It has to be one of the important houses. But in general, the actual rule is it is Lagna, it is Janma. Janma can be interpreted to mean Lagna or moon sign. But my take it should be Lagna. Otherwise, there are so many people born in those 4.5 years, not everybody has a Raj Yoga. Right. That is what I am saying. So,
But your Lagna is not.
right, that's what I am saying. The actual verse is Jam Simha Rajivata. Somebody has Simha Lagna and Rahu in Simha.
Lagna, Rahu is not.
Right.
Then how is Cancer and Yoga playing a role?
The verse also says Kanya, Dharma Kanya Rajivata. So the verses that are there in Rahu's names are specifically for Simha and Kanya. If Lagna is there and Rahu is there, then it's a Rajoga. He gives some kind of kingdom he will give. And Cancer is mentioned in some other context as just being a fruitful sign for Rahu, even though it's a friendly sign. I mean, even though it's an inimical sign, he becomes even more charged up. He is almost like a mafia leader. Is at the house of a police inspector. He will really be determined to ruin the house or do whatever he came to do. That Rajoga is just given as a generic combination. So even if he is a functional malefic, which he is for Janaka, Kanya for example, he is 6th lord, still is supposed to be good. Any other questions? Eighth house from moon. Okay? Okay, actually, okay? Okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lagna is Buddha, and he is sensing 8 from moon.
She is saying Saturn is a good planet in the chart, natal chart. He doesn't stand out as a particularly bad planet. And he is transiting in the 8th from moon. What will he do? Now the thing is, irrespective of his agenda, what house he owns, what house he occupies, he is the Karaka for trouble, Karaka for disappointment, Karaka for setback. So he can't completely become like somebody else. Saturn is Saturn. He has to give some trouble to the person. Okay, so 8th house transit of Saturn is bad. That is a given. But had Saturn been a malefic in the chart also, had he had a really vicious agenda, things would be even worse. In the example that you mentioned, his agenda is not really terrible for the person. He wants to give a yoga. So the trouble he gives, the setbacks he gives, the tensions he gives will be milder than somebody else in whose chart Saturn is really bad. Pardon me? It doesn't have to. No, it doesn't have to. As far as 4th and 8th houses are concerned, he wants to give only good results. Right? So, see, look at it this way. Saturn, being the 4th and 5th lord, he wants to give happiness, he wants to comfort, he wants to give children, etc. He wants to bring the Purpunya of the person into the person's life. So he wants to give good results, being a Yokarka, relating to 4th and 5th houses. Right? So, those results he may not be able to give fully because his chastity is not favorable. He is transiting in a bad house, where the bad results that he wants to give are being accentuated. When he is transiting in the 11th from moon, he may be able to give his good results. So those results may happen in that transit, 3rd house or 11th house or 5th house from moon. When he is in the 8th house, the negative results of Saturn are being accentuated. So what are those? Those are not 4th and 5th house results. Those are the Karakatva results, 8th house results. Even though he is not in the 8th house or doesn't own the 8th house, he gives 8th house results, being the Karaka of 8th house. Depending on his relationship with the 8th house, with the planets in the 8th lord, etc., he has some troubles also that he has in his pocket, which he has to give. And those he will tend to give when he is transiting in the 8th from moon, 12th from moon, etc.
Also holds in adjustment in 4th house too.
Pardon me?
Also holds good for 4th and 5th.
Yeah, Ardhashtama Seni also. Kantaka Seni basically. Right. Very good question. Similarly with all other planets. Suppose Rahu is in 6th house from moon, we say excellent results. But exactly what kind? Depends on what good results Rahu can give you in your chart. Suppose the good results that Rahu can give me in my chart are winning over enemies, it will be winning over enemies. If the good result Rahu can give me in my chart is money, it will be money when Rahu is in the 6th house. So when a planet has a good transit, the good results that he shows based on the agenda in the natal chart as determined by the individual natal chart, those results will occur. So different people with the same moon sign may get different results, totally different. One person may get married, another person may not have any good at all. If, for example, suppose take my Jupiter, I have Kumbha moon in Aquarius in natal chart. Jupiter is in 11th house right now. He has a favorable transit. So what good can he give? It depends on what house he owns in my natal chart, 4th and 7th house. So it will be relating to those houses. Suppose Jupiter is a bad planet in my chart. He is 8th and 11th lord, he is badly placed, he is really a terrible planet. Even if he has a good transit, what good can he give? Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, absolutely. The Vishotri Dasha Lord is the planet who is controlling your life right now. So his transit is very important. That is a very good question. That is an excellent question. In my view, if a particular conditioning Dasha is controlling the life of the native even more than Vishotri Dasha, then you should look at the Lord of the conditional Dasha, see his transit. It's definitely a logical thing to do, and that is what I understand. Whatever Dasha you are using, look at the transit of that planet.
Also it will depend upon the, in that case, the example of the Saturn Yokaraka,
Yeah?
if the Saturn is in Lohamurti or something like that during the transit. So the Yokaraka, the agenda is everything in the Lohamurti.
First of all, being in the 8 itself will accentuate the negative more than positive. If it is also Lohamurti, it will make it even worse.
So you can't do anything to him.
You can't really do much. You want whatever negatives he shows in the chart, they are likely to happen. You can't really do much about it. Whereas suppose he is copper or silver idol, he is a Rajathamurti or Tamramurti or even Swanamurti, then he will likely listen to you. The bad results can be suppressed through prayer.
But to follow up on the question, you said when you transfer, you will give the agenda of what he is in his natal chart.
Yeah.
But 4th and 5th house, Yokaraka is very great in the agenda.
Right, but the thing is, because the transit is a bad transit, he can't give the result to most extent. To a large extent, the result is suppressed right now because he put on his bad mask right now. Being in the 8th house from moon, he has. No, he has. That depends on whether he is capable of giving bad results in the natal chart. Despite being a Yokaraka, suppose he is basically the Karaka of 8th house. Suppose 8th house is strong, and 8th lord and the planet in the 8th house have a good relationship with Saturn. Then Saturn is also capable of inflicting 8th house results. So each planet is not just black and white. Every planet is actually grey in real life. So they have a combination of black and white and combination of black and combination of white. So whatever black Saturn has in your chart, that basically becomes accentuated when Saturn is dancing in your right. And when you look at the Vimshottari Dasha transits, you can look at the transits of the Vimshottari Dasha Lord. One important thing that you can do is when you say that you are running Mars Dasha, you are literally what you are saying is Mars is in. Literally what you are saying is the progress moon is in Mars Nakshatra. Right? The progress moon is in Mars Nakshatra right now. Originally moon was, when you were born, moon was in Purabhadra. So moon was in Jupiter Nakshatra. And then the Nakshatra is being progressed. So after a certain period, the next Dasha, Saturn Dasha comes, let us say. So Uttarabhadra now. and then Revati. And Uttarabhadra in the Purabhadra Dasha, Purabhadra Nakshatra's Dasha, Purabhadra, Vishakha, and also Punusu, they all give results. So it is the Dasha of all those three. And Saturn Dasha is basically Uttarabhadra, Anuradha and Pushmi Dasha. So, apart from looking at Jupiter's transit, the Dasha last transit, if you look at the Dasha as not a planet Dasha, but a Nakshatra's Dasha, which it really is, that is why it is called a Nakshatra Dasha, then it is actually even more prudent to look at the transits in those stars. You see what I am saying? Not Tribhagi, this is normal Vimshatri. Tribhagi is even, we will come to Tribhagi later. This is regular Vimshatri. You take the current Dasha, the Nakshatra corresponding to it, and see what are the transits in that Nakshatra, and how are the transits with respect to that Nakshatra. Let us see. You will start with take the mind.
Oh, actually it is totally under my leg. Thanks. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have a pocket arm. Pocket will be faster. That's okay. Oh, no, अच्छा. Oh. Okay. We'll try to rectify it. Okay, let us see this chart, for example. So, Swam Chandrasekhar Saraswati that we saw earlier. Let us take normal Vimshati Dasha. Okay. Let us take 1907. 1907 February, when at that time he basically received Diksha, he renounced and he became the Mathadipati. So at that time, what was the Dasha and Antardasha? It was Mercury Dasha, Mars Antardasha. So he was running Mercury Dasha. So when he was born, moon was in Anuradha. So at the beginning, the Dasha that was running, the Saturn Dasha, corresponds to Anuradha and other Saturn Nakshatras, other final Nakshatras. And then you are talking about Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Let us take the day when he renounced. Do we actually know the exact date? I think it was February 14 or something. But definitely February 2007. So we will just look at the big planets. Let us take 1907 February. I believe it's 14 or could be plus minus a few days. So we won't look at moon, etc. We will look at planets that are slow. In Dharam is fine. The date itself is not accurate. So let's see how the transits were in 1907 February 14 when he renounced and became the Mathadipati. So from Mercury Nakshatra, apart from looking at Mercury's transits, what I am saying is look at the nakshatra transits from Mercury Nakshatra, from Jyeshtha. So how are the transits then? Where is Jupiter and where is Ketu? Let us look at those transits. Pardon me?
Yes, it is Mercury Nakshatra.
Because that is he is right now running Mercury Nakshatra, means the progress moon is in Mercury Nakshatra, in Jyeshtha. The natal moon was in Anuradha, but right now the progress moon is in Jyeshtha. That is what it means. He is running Mercury Dasha means. See, Vimshatri Dasha is a progression of the moon. When he was born, moon was in Anuradha at a particular, he was advanced in Anuradha by certain amount, and he has certain amount of Anuradha to traverse. And then with time he traverses that Anuradha. At the end of Saturn Dasha, when Mercury Dasha started, it is as though the progress moon is in Mercury. And after 17 years, it is as though Mercury has finished Jyeshtha and he entered Moola. You understand? But the thing is, here it's not just Jyeshtha, Revati and Asresha, all the three basically. It is the Dasha of those three nakshatras. So, taking the Mercury Nakshatra, let us look at the
transits of Jupiter and Ketu. Ketu is the Karaka for moksha. He is the moksha Karaka for the spiritual life. So first let us look at Ketu. How is Ketu's transit from Mercury? And how is Saturn? Saturn is sannyasi, vairagya, right?
When you say Mercury, you are seeing the Mercury from natal Mercury.
No, not natal Mercury. From Jyeshtha I am seeing. See, when you say what Tara a planet occupies, we normally look at the natal moon nakshatra, right? Actually, I think I am jumping. Let me go a little slow. You look at the transits from Janma Rashi and Janma Nakshatra. This is very common. Especially when you look at the Janma Nakshatra, people simply take, if somebody was born in Anuradha, they take the transit from Anuradha. Hey, from Anuradha this planet is in Sampattara, this planet is in Vipattara. Then they are done with it. But another thing you can do is, forget the Janma Nakshatra. Right now, moon is not in Anuradha, he is in Jyeshtha. Based on the Vimshottari Dasha progression. Right? If you have another Dasha, there also there will be a progression. You just have to figure out. You just have to look at the formula and then easily figure out. You understand? So, the first Dasha, in the first Dasha of Saturn, here. For this entire duration, the progress nakshatra, the progress moon is still in Anuradha. But later, the progress moon comes to Jyeshtha. So now instead of looking at the taras, the tara occupied by the transit planets, whether they are Sampattara, Vipattara, Kshematara, Naisantara, etc., instead of looking from Anuradha, which is the natal moon nakshatra, why don't you look at it from Jyeshtha, which is the current moon nakshatra? So what I am saying is, try it for yourself, what kind of results it gives. And as an example, if you see it here, instead of Anuradha, if you take Jyeshtha, how is Ketu, the Karka for moksha? He is in Uttarashadha. He is in Sun Nakshatra. Is it, what Tara is it? Mercury. Okay. We are looking at Mercury. If this is Janmatara, Mercury is Nakshatra is Janmatara, Ketu will be Sampattara. Venus will be Vipattara. Sun will be Kshematara. So Ketu is transiting in the star of well-being. You understand? I looked at the transit. Where is Ketu? Ketu is in Uttarashadha. Ketu is in Uttarashadha. This is the time of a particular event that I want to study.
No, but this is the birth time. Or this is
No, this is the birth chart. That is the transit chart. So in transit normally what you do is you say, hey, Ketu is in Uttarashadha. What Tara is it? You count from Anuradha. Anuradha is Sampattara. Saturn Nakshatra is Sampattara. Saturn Nakshatra is Janmatara. Mercury Nakshatra is Sampattara. Ketu Nakshatra is Vipattara. Venus Nakshatra is Kshematara. Sun Nakshatra is Pratyaktara, we say normally. But the thing is, what I am saying is, you look at it from the progress moon nakshatra instead of natal moon nakshatra.
that you took because
It may be 1, 2, 3, depends on when you are looking.
no, but basically this is the progress chart.
Right, this is the progress chart, this is the transit chart.
This is the transit chart. Then you are taking
And what I am doing is, see, let us do it this way. Take the nakshatra here, take the nakshatra lord, okay? And take the nakshatra lord here, from the current dasha, take this as Janmatara, Sampattara, Vipattara and so on. Take the 9 taras and see which tara the planet falls in, okay? Suppose,
where are you taking from current
because he is running Mercury dasha at the event.
is running Mercury.
Not currently, but at the time of event, 1907, he was running Mercury dasha, which means he was running Mercury's nakshatra's dasha. So, even though, see, let us step back a little bit. When he was born, Saturn nakshatra contained moon. Later, from 97 to 1915, it is as though Mercury nakshatra contains moon. Moon has changed and come to a Mercury nakshatra. And from 1915 to 1922, it is as though moon is in Ketu nakshatra. So during that time, when you are judging transits, I am saying, take Ketu nakshatra as the Janmatara. Because moon is there now. So when you are combining dasha and transits, my advice is, take the progress moon nakshatra based on the dasha.
And this is applicable to Vimshottari as well as all other dashas, but other dashas will be very difficult to compute manually. You don't know if Ketu is in Uttarashadha, you don't know who owns Uttarashadha. You have to look at the textbooks and find out the mapping. If I give in brackets here the nakshatras covered by that planet, that will be easy for you. You understand what I am saying? So I could have actually given Saturn dasha, in brackets I could have given Anuradha, the group of 3. Then all you would do is look at Ketu. He is in Uttarashadha. See where Uttarashadha is. It would be under Sun. And then count that from Mercury, from the currently running dasha. So Mercury would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know what is 4. 4 is Kshamatara. It is a good Tara. So that is what I am suggesting. So to correlate the transits and dashas, I am suggesting a new technique, which is from the progress moon nakshatra, look at the Tara Bala. So actually, because you are the most confused, I want you to do the next example, so that you become absolutely clear on at least the procedure. If you don't understand why, others, I am hoping you understood the why part, how we are doing the part of it. But I want you to at least do it mechanically, do the procedure and understand. What about Saturn? Let us see which Tara Saturn occupies. Okay, what is the nakshatra he occupies?
From where?
First, see the nakshatra he occupies here. Purvabhadra. Okay, and here Purvabhadra would be where? Which nakshatra would be Purvabhadra? Purvabhadra is owned by who? Try again. Purvabhadra, Purvasu and Vishaka are Jupiter. Okay? Okay, so Jupiter. Now counting from Mercury till Jupiter, what Tara is it? 1, 2, 3. What Mitra? Yes, exactly. You are counting backwards. Very smart. So Paramita Tara is this. So this is Mitra Tara. So Saturn is transiting in a Mitra Tara. Not right now, but at that time. Saturn was in Mitra Tara. Ketu was in. So those two planets had excellent transits. How about Rahu? Rahu is in Pushyami, which is, I will give you a clue, it is owned by Saturn in Vimshottari Dasha scheme. So that will be, which Tara will it be from Mercury, in Mercury Dasha? Paramita Tara. So Rahu is in Paramita Tara. Ketu is in Kshema Tara. Saturn is in Mitra Tara. So all the planets, all these malefics which are showing renunciation, ascetic life and spiritual life, etc., they are all having excellent transits at that time, during that Dasha. With respect to the Dasha, what about Jupiter? What about Jupiter? He is in Ardra. Ardra is Rahu Nakshatra. So he is having a bad transit. So out of the 4 slow moving planets, 3 of them have excellent transits. So you can say that the transits are right now good. They show some important event. So whatever Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, etc. show, depending on what they are showing in the chart, with respect to that, to the maximum potential that this dasha can give, those planets will give those results in the transit. So this is a way to look at the synergy between dasha and transits. Okay.
So during the Panchanga Shravanam, the general thing that is generally said is really a 10,000 foot level.
Yeah, it is a 10,000 foot level, of course.
That's applicable to know.
It is actually satellite level.
Because actually I had this question when you were doing that, because I'm trying to give for somebody in this transit, generally it is right to this particular family or
Yeah.
because I was just thinking, because that will not be really applicable to his chart.
That is absolutely true. But the thing is that let them pray to somebody at least. We can't see everybody's chart, so that is why we have all these Panchanga Sravanas, all these. These are just time pass.
Because
It is just a 10,000 foot level, like you said. Not really reliable. So, to answer your question in a long way, the transit of the Vimshottari Dasha Lord is important, but more than that, the transit of all planets from the Vimshottari Dasha Nakshatra are even more important. Because this is really the Nakshatra, Dasha of the Nakshatra, not the planet. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. It is normally weakness, but if there is a Rajayoga, there is Nijabhanga, it may become strong. Yeah. No, your question is if the planet is debilitated in Rashi. Yeah. Yeah, he is exalted or he is strong. Yeah. The strength of the Rajayoga doesn't go away anywhere. The planet, suppose Sun is giving a Rajayoga in D10, the person may be in a powerful position. But because he is debilitated in the Rashi chart, physically Sun is making him unhappy. You just separate like that. Rashi is physical level, and Dasyamsha is career. So he may have great success or power in career, but physically he may be unhappy about various things. For me? Yeah. Right. I'm not saying it won't affect. It will affect, but the thing is, to what extent it will affect, it is all tough to calculate. So I'll suggest dealing both of them. And say, as far as that is concerned, he will give a good result. As far as physically, still the person is not happy. For some reason, he is unhappy. So somebody may be a successful politician, but he may be unhappy about what is happening. Physically, he may be struggling.
But the Rashi's 10th house has to be strong in order to get the result in
Right. That is true.
So if the Rashi is not, 10th house also weak, that means he is not going to get results of the D10.
Right.
The Sun is a stronger exile.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
So we cannot do isolation.
Well, you cannot do isolation, but what I am saying is, if the planet in question is debilitated in Rashi, the planet is physically showing some weakness, unhappiness, some problem. But if the same planet is giving a Rajayoga in Dasyamsha, when the planet Dasya comes, he will confer good position in career, but he will make the person unhappy. But what you mentioned, the 10th house, that's basically the 10th house is the important house, that is the seed of the Dasyamsha. So if the 10th house is weak in Rashi, which means physically the activity that the person engages in physically, that itself is weak. So to think that he will accomplish something big it is possible. There are always exceptions, but it is unlikely. Okay. If you take as a quick example, you take his example, Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati that we saw earlier, take his moon. His moon is debilitated. He is the 12th lord debilitated in 4th house. What is the result of a debilitated planet in the 4th house? Sukhalopa. Even though he is the Karaka, he is basically 12th lord and of losses, and he is debilitated. Any debilitated planet in 4th house will give some Sukhalopa, some lack of comfort. But look at Vimshamsha. In Vimshamsha, moon is the 5th lord of Purpunya, of mantra. Mars is the 9th lord and also dispositor of the Lagna lord. So from Lagna, 5th and 9th lords are together and aspecting Lagna. What a brilliant Rajayoga given by moon and Mars. Do you see it? Take Paka Lagna instead of Lagna, take just Paka Lagna. From Paka Lagna, Mars is Lagna lord, moon is 9th lord. They are together in the 11th house. What a brilliant Rajayoga. Lagna lord and 9th lord together in the 11th house. Even from Arun Lagna, they are quite well placed. They are in the 3rd house. So overall, they are giving excellent Rajayoga, moon and Mars combination. It gives excellent followers, etc. And excellent mantra bala, mantra siddhi. So the same moon who gives. So when moon dasha came 48 to 58, it will give a lot of followers, lot of mantras, doing mantras well, etc. It will give. At the same time, during that time, physically, he may have some sukhalopa. He may not have enough comfort. He may be traveling with a lot of followers. He may be doing a lot of mantras, and he may not take care of his bodily comfort that well during that time. It is possible. So this is the kind of thing that I am mentioning. Except that instead of Vimshamsa, if it happens in Dasamsa, it will basically be a politician may become a prime minister, but he may be unhappy about something. He may be always worried about when his supporting coalition, when his coalition will collapse because somebody is unhappy about something. So something like that. So you can decouple them. But the thing is, here the 8th house has to be strong. The basic 8th house, if it is weak, any Rajoga and Vimshamsa is useless. The basic sadhana of the person has to be there. And if you see this, if you look at the 5th house, the 5th lord is in a Kendra, Jupiter with Rajogas. So Mantrabala is basically there. 8th house has exalted planet, it has Tapasya Yoga, involving Atmakarka if I remember right. I remember there was Atmakarka Saturn aspecting, yeah. Saturn is Atmakarka, he is aspecting 8th house Venus along with Ketu. So there is Tapasya Yoga on the 8th house actually. 8th house is very strong, he is a great sadhaka, he is not a normal person. So the powerful yogas in the Vimshamsa are meaningful to look at. Okay, this is your point. So her point, my answer is, it doesn't matter, decouple them. Your point, my answer is, it's an enabler, don't decouple them. Okay, clear? Okay, so with that we will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.